Anybody want to be a kid again? And let's go outside and play. Anybody not? Okay. I think we should just play that song again and then go outside and play. That's my inner child loves that song, and thank you, Bill Brooks, for suggesting it for today's talk called Wild and Free. So let's give some more love to Bill Brooks and Robert, and Tammy helps up turn the page. Turn the page. You know, as a child, I always wanted to be a grown-up. Now that I'm a grown, and you know, as a child, you want to be a grown-up, and you think, oh yeah, and now I'm a grown-up, and I just want to be a child who plays, explores, lives life in the present moment, doesn't worry about anything. Anyone kind of feel like that would be the great way to be? Have somebody else do all those responsible things? Hey, that's what I'm signing up for. Of course, that's why I love that song so much. How many of you have ever heard the phrase, and a child shall lead them? Okay. I'm not a big Bible scholar, but for those that do find that, where is that phrase in the Bible? Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's Isaiah 11:6, and here's the entire verse. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and lion and the yearling together, and a little child shall lead them. You know, Jesus, the great way shower, said, you have to be like a kid in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, right? So I'm going to tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was born a little baby girl and a little baby boy, and they were just like infants are. They cry, they giggle, they smile, they eat, they release what they eat, right? So this little boy and little girl were just the average normal kids growing up. And as they got older, they got more tuned to their bodies, and they started to explore and walk and talk and get into everything. For those of you who have had kids and toddlers and such, kind of like having a puppy or something to that effect for us cat and dog people. So you have these little ones, and they're curious about everything. And they get to be 3, and then they get to be 4, and pretty soon something happens. The gatas get them. You know, you gotta eat your dinner. You gotta go to school. You gotta clean your room. You gotta brush your teeth. You gotta go to sleep. You gotta be quiet, right? All these gottas happen to this child. And in all those gottas finally get the child. And what happens is that sparkle, the light in the eye, that innocence begins to diminish and lessen. Has anyone ever looked at your yearbook pictures, the ones that you have to dress in some, thing, and you have to go and get your smile on and take your yearly pictures? When did the light go out of your eyes? When? I can tell you, for myself, 4th grade. I can look at all my pictures up till then, 8 years old. I was still sparkling. 9 years old, there was something missing from my eyes. And when I was a substitute teacher, I also noticed that my favorite grade to teach was 3rd graders, because they still had that sparkle. But what happens between 3rd and 4th grade, at least in my experience, was you get a little more attuned to the realities of life, and the gottas start to diminish. That sparkle, that child that was wild and free, which is today's topic, is wild and free. So I'm speaking about the wild and free because we were born free. However, like I just said, things have happened, and we are not the same energy of that 2, 3, and perhaps a 4-year-old Don McGarrell-Weiss, we've been on a sacred journey studying in our Adventures in Faith the book, The Four Agreements. And so we've done 5 weeks thus far. And today he talks about freedom. And the chapter, and it's a long chapter, and it's filled with a lot of things in it, trying to unpack this chapter on breaking old agreements. But he starts off by talking about freedom. He says everybody, everywhere, is always seeking a greater expression and being of freedom. He said all around the world, different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. But what is freedom? In America, we speak of being in a free country. But are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer, he said, is no. We are not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are. So what stops us from being free? Well, we blame the government, our parents, the school systems. We blame our religions, the weather. We might blame God for things not being able to be free. And really, he says, who really stops us is ourselves. I stop myself. He says, we have memories of long ago when we used to be free, totally, and loved being free, but we've forgotten who we really are and that freedom to just be yourself. If you see a child who's 2 or 3 or 4, you find a free human. And why is that? Because 2, 3-year-olds are basically going to do whatever they want to do, for the most part, until they're told no, right? They're just free. They're wild, like a flower or a tree, an animal that has not been domesticated. And we've been talking the last 5 weeks about domestication and that whole system. If we observe these humans, 2 years old, usually they got a big smile on their face, and they're laughing and playing, unless they're hungry, they're hurt, or they're scared, and then they're going to cry. They feel their feelings without restraint. They just feel them. They can express them. Then we learn, no, don't be so happy. Don't be so exuberant. Don't be mad. Don't do this. We wonder why we have disease in the world, because all that energy that we have to repress becomes, our body takes that energy because it's not free to express itself. And kids live in the present moment. They do not worry about the future. They live in the moment. I recall watching my nephew when he was 4 years old. And he was out playing, having a good time like 4-year-olds do. And as I'm watching him, then he falls down. He skins his knee. He goes running into the house. Mom and Dad give him a hug, give him a kiss, wipe his tears, put a Band-Aid on his knee. And the next thing you know, he's out playing again. And I was struck by this vision, or this child. See, he didn't worry. He didn't worry about anything. He trusted that his parents were there. That if something happened to him, he could run in the house and he would be taken care of. And it struck me so much, and I thought, wouldn't I like to imagine great spirit in that way? That no matter what happens, if I fall down and skin my knee, or I have some sort of odd thing out of balance, that I can go to the spirit that is breathing me, and it's going to take care of me. It's going to hug me and love me, and when I make a mistake, it doesn't blame me or shame me. It just says, I love you. It's okay. If I wanted to, what I called it was Jacob's mind. I want to have Jacob's mind. I want to live from that sort of trust. Trust in the universe has got my back and my front. And for those who ever call my phone number, you'll hear, the universe is absolutely crazy about me. So I live with that assumption, because why not? The universe is crazy about you. Do you believe it? What if you tried believing it? What would happen? Would life be different? So he continues in his book here to talk about how kids are just free. They express themselves, they feel their feelings, they don't worry. But again, what happens to that adult? The gottas. The gottas get you. And the other word for gottas is the R word. Responsibilities. You got to be responsible. You got to go to school. You got to go to work. You got to do this. You have to be a responsible adult. And I'm not saying that responsibilities are bad. However, there becomes a time where we start feeling more and more and more and more restricted and not free. This book is about personal freedom. It is about setting ourselves free because we've all been domesticated. We've talked about that. And how do you break through all of that? Domestication, which, summed up is when you were born, that little child didn't have any belief systems, but you were told what to believe, how to believe, what to say, what to do, what was good, what was wrong, what was right, all of that. And some of it was true. I'm not saying that it's not true, the domestication, but we get put into this, we judge everything and everyone. I talked about the judge. We're judging 24/7. You know it. If you pay attention, you'll see that, oh, yeah, well, I'm judging myself, I'm judging another. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about what we need to do and about this, because it's ongoing. It's from generation to generation. And I know there was a page that I wanted to share, and it's, the chain of training, yes. From human to human, from generation to generation is perfectly normal in human society. That's normal. You have to be somewhat domesticated. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what you know, what they know? They did the best they knew how. And if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the domestication and programming they received. So they couldn't have actually behaved any differently. Unless they got into what I'm going to share with you about the masteries. He said, there's no need to blame your parents or anyone who abused you in life, including yourself. It is the time to stop the abuse. Because the real you, underneath all of the stuff, is a little child. And anytime you are playing, painting, doing art, get out your crayons this week. If you don't have crayons and a coloring book, I'd say go get one, right? Color. And color outside the lines, for Pete's sakes, right? So when you're dancing, there's a few dancers in here. When you're dancing, you're free. Sometimes we feel like, I shouldn't maybe do that. I'm like, maybe you should, right? And I do know that we have to pay attention to consequences. And we do have responsibilities. I'm not saying to forego all of that. However, we need to break free of the chains that bind us. And how do we do that? He talks about 3 masteries. The first mastery is the mastery of awareness. What is it? Louder. Wake up. We're awake. The mastery of? Okay, very good. Just checking. So the first step in the mastery is the mastery of awareness, because without awareness, we can't change anything. You can't change anything without the awareness of the problem and what to do about that. With awareness, we can be like that child and rebel and say no. Okay, everybody say no. No. Yes. Oh, good. You got an inner child that has said no. We always, it is okay to say no. We can rebel. We can also, with awareness, we can notice when we're judging or when we're feeling like a victim. With awareness, we can start to break the old agreements, and we can see, because we've been studying, there's 4 agreements. With awareness, I can be aware that I am not being impeccable with my word. In other words, I'm going against myself in a thought. I'm judging myself or someone else, being negative. With awareness, I can not take things personally because I understand that it's never about me. Person talking is only talking from their filters, and they're actually talking about themselves. With awareness, I can not make assumptions. That's another thing, along with judging, we do all the time. We assume so much, and I have been practicing catching myself, and the remedy for making assumptions is to ask questions. Ask a question. It actually is a really smart thing to do. With awareness, we can do our best. Do our best, always doing our best. Because our best will change time to time, but to do my best means that my judge can't come in and put me under the bus, throw me under the bus. Because I can sit there and go, I did my best. And say no to that inner judge. And I can feel good about myself because I did my best. I'm always doing my best. And we can also, with doing our with our awareness, we can start to challenge our beliefs. That's a pretty big one. What is a belief? I like the definition of a belief as a thought I hold to be true. A thought I hold to be true. Now here's the thing. The thought might not even be true, but because I believe it's to be true. So to challenge your beliefs. And one way to do that, how many of you are aware of Byron Katie and what she has called the work? Okay, you can look her up online. She also has sheets. She has a process of 4 questions. Now, for instance, the first thing is to ask, because I have a thought. Actually, I have a feeling, because we pay attention to our feelings, right? What are you feeling right now? Whatever that is, notice. I'm feeling. Now, there is actually, in truth, a thought behind the feeling. So you ask yourself, what is the thought behind that feeling? Because thoughts lead to feelings. And then you ask yourself, because a lot of times we're looking at the feelings mostly that are low vibrational. When you're mad, when you're sad, when you're upset, frustrated, disappointed. Okay, so you look at it and you go, what if I didn't have that belief? For instance, I won't say I tend to run late. I run right on time. But so one time I was like thinking, uh-oh, they're going to be upset with me because I'm going to be late. And I realized I was very tense because they're going to be upset with me. And I'm upset, and it's like the thought is because they're not going to like me. They're going to be mad at me. So then the next question is that absolutely true that they'll be mad at you and won't like you? No, it can't be absolutely true. How would I feel if I didn't have that thought? I'm sure I would feel better. So then the 4th part is to turn that thought around. Oh, they'll like me even if I'm late. They'll still love me. And I no longer felt the stress. I changed my feeling by changing the thought. But you ask yourselves, is it true? Is it absolutely true? Then what was the next one? Ask yourself, how would I feel without that feeling? And the 4th one is turn it around, create a new thought. So the Toltec, which is it's Toltec wisdom. They are the wisdom keepers of southern Mexico. And Don Miguel Ruiz is a wisdom keeper. Nagel is what they're called, masters. They actually are dream masters because they believe that we are living in a dream. We live in illusions. Your illusions are what you grew up being told and what you've accumulated as your beliefs. So what is reality? Everybody in here has got a different reality. Isn't that interesting? So, but we're living in a dream of what we've been told and what we believe and what we're supposed to believe because we've been domesticated. But the Toltec are what he calls our dream masters. Dream masters have the ability to look at things as this was a dream. And I can change my beliefs. I can challenge my beliefs. I can change my beliefs. And when I change my beliefs, I can change my dream from hell to heaven. And it makes me, and he talks about how the dream masters create, he calls masterpieces. And when I read the word masterpiece, I always think of Michelangelo with the statue of David, okay? You all know the statue of David, the famous Michelangelo statue. The quote from Michelangelo, because he created this statue out of marble, he says, every block of stone has a statue inside, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it. He said, I saw the original in the marble and carved until I set him free. That's powerful. So what we want to do is we want to take away everything, because inside there's an angel, there's a child that wants to just be a kid again, to run and skip and have a good time and shed all of that stuff. He says the freedom we seek is to use our mind and our body to live our own life instead of the life of the belief system, which is controlled by the judge and the victim, and the real of us is in the closet, so to speak, or in the corner. And we have two choices. One choice is to keep living the way we are, to surrender to the judge inside, and to keep living in the dream of the planet and our belief systems without challenging. The second choice is to do what we do as children. When parents try to domesticate us, we can rebel and say, no. We can declare a war on the parasite. Now, he talks about parasites, and it bothered me the first time I ever read this. I'm like, parasites? Parasites are our fears. The fears that we get engulfed in because we live in a fear-based society. True? And so he says, basically, you want to set yourself free of the fears. And in that separating from the fears, one thing is we can take our fears and we can challenge our fears. We can look at them one by one and say, is that true? We can do the Byron Katie work. Then we can also stop feeding the fears, which again, go back to the Byron Katie work. Ask yourself, when you're looking at your fears, is that true? Is it absolutely true? How would I feel without the thought? And change it around. So I am going to set myself free. What does a minister look like in being free? Well, wouldn't you like to know? Thanks for asking. So, the minister who is free, yeah, she takes her clothes off in your presence. Oh, this is going to be fun. Uh-huh. Stay with me, because we're wild and free. You got a wild and free minister. Did you know that?
Not too wild.
All right. Okay, so la la la, yeah, da 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 da. Yes, we are wild and free today. Okay, I'm getting beyond myself. Let's see if I can actually do this. Yeah, without taking. Okay, whew. Is my hair messy? Good. It's wild and free, right? Okay. So I am wild and free. I have this shirt and it says, "Remembering who I am." Okay. This is my T-shirt. It is my fun T-shirt. Melissa, actually Z Egliff, who will be here with her partner in March. They will be here. But I'm all about freedom. Anybody want to play? Yes. Okay, any kids want to be kids? Yes. All right. Be prepared. Whee! All right, ministers who throw things from the stage. Whee! Who knows what she's going to throw next? There's a wild and crazy minister. Who cares? Hey, this one's name is Arnold, by the way. And, oh, they're wild and free. Oh, good gosh. Yes, the minister has gone rogue. She is playing wild and free. Oh, my goodness. Hell, oh, there might be one here, right? Uh-huh. What else she got in here? Oh, I don't know. Okay, this one is very interesting because it lights up. And don't let this one hit you on the head because, the stuffed animals, not so much, but there you go. And you're free to, just know you're free to throw these at each other and to each other, except the hard things. So, a wild and free minister. She also plays pickleball, so there you have it. Now, if anybody can be serious, good luck with that. But we're seriously playful. Yeah, right? This is all about being free, being willing to do things that ministers don't normally do, right? Disrobe on your stage, to be present to that kid who wants to just be free. We were born free, and we're meant to be free and stay free. So I talked to you about one thing, the mastery of awareness, that you need to be aware. Next one is the mastery of transformation. And I also spoke of that because transformation means to change form. So to change form, we challenge our beliefs. We use the Byron Katie method. And the last art that he talks about is the initiation of death. Okay, we're going to talk about death when we're having so much fun? Actually, yes. Because death, the angel of death, when you think about death, death is actually my friend because it helps me remember to be alive. All I have is today. I did a service here yesterday. We don't know. Every one of us is going to check out. I don't think anyone's going to get out of this world alive, right? We have an expiration date. We're going to check out. So what that means to me is that I'm going to... Yes, there's my inner Bill child. For those who can't see, he's got a stuffed animal sitting on his head, of course. And it has a point. It's a lion with a unicorn. So back to make every day count. Here's the thing. We only have today. That is the only thing we have is now. And so my challenge and initiation is to do transformation. Live today as if it was your first and last and only day. Because what else is there? I want to live my life to the fullest, and how do I want to be today? Breathe. How do I want to be with myself? How do I want to be with others? That's the gift of death. And the man that stood here yesterday, part of the family, he talked about the gift of death. I was like, dude, you're bringing a sermon. I said, all right, I'm going to just pick that up. Life is a gift. Death is a gift. Open the gift. We were born free. Let us return to that state of freedom and stay that way. And so it is. Amen.